All right, so today, again, I'll be talking about specifically the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, but I think it's really great chance to get people up to speed on who the Natural Resources Conservation Service is, how we were founded, and kind of leading into the work that we do today. All right, so we're really, we got a photo here of Dr. Hugh Hammond Bennett. Hugh Hammond Bennett was the first chief of NRCS. So NRCS originally started as the Soil Conservation Service, and the Soil Conservation Service was put into, became an agency under the U.S. Department of Agriculture through the Soil Conservation Act, which is Public Law 74-46. This was all part of President Roosevelt's New Deal legislation. So in the actual public law, it recognizes the wastage of soil and moisture resources on farm, grazing, and forest lands is a menace to the national welfare. So even from our founding, written in the public law, private forest land is a cornerstone to natural resources conservation in the United States. So in the early days, we worked landowners on their farms to really address soil conservation and erosion effects that stemmed mostly out of the Dust Bowl and other erosion that was happening throughout the United States. So way back in the early days, we really didn't have any cost assistance programs like the Environmental Quality Incentives Program or any of the other programs that we now administer. Early on, the work was completed on farms by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Civilian Works Administration, the Works Progress Administration, and many other public agencies. So we also, in this founding of our agency, established a network of regional nurseries around the country that provided seeds and seedlings to support the program. Now those are plant material centers, and those are spread throughout the country, and they're really great in developing species of native plants that are adapted for different conservation needs, especially for forest land, different tree seedlings and other native plants that do well in woodlands. So fast forwarding in 1994, Congress initiated a major reorganization of the USDA, and the Soil Conservation Service was renamed to the Natural Resources Conservation Service to better reflect the broad scope of our agency's mission. This also brought in the financial assistance programs that we now administer, of which the Environmental Quality Incentives Program is really our cornerstone program. So just to give everybody an idea of how we're organized in Kentucky, we have 3 different areas of the state. So called Area 1, Area 2, Area 3. And each of those areas is broken up into a different work unit, and each work unit has a district conservationist that is in charge of administering the program in their service area. So there's coverage, NRCS coverage throughout the entire state. So really the where to start with NRCS and really going back to the early days of when we were the Soil Conservation Service and didn't have financial assistance programs is really that on-farm plan, that conservation plan that a landowner can get from NRCS to help them determine what are the resource issues and what are the opportunities to do work to address those issues, looking at the landowner's goals for their property, and looking into the future as far as what projects may enhance woodlands for not just for now, but for future generations to benefit from. And so we do that through a 9-step planning process where we identify those resource issues and then develop those alternatives to treat those resource issues. So with forest land, it really is unique. So because there's a multiple of actual forest land issues, we call the conservation plan forest management plan, but really it's just a conservation plan for the forest. And so we work closely with private foresters, consulting foresters, as well as our Kentucky Division of Forestry folks and NRCS planners that all work in assistance to get the forest management plan completed in the beginning of our assistance with forest landowners. So really wanted to highlight kind of the steps to assistance. The first step, again, is that planning step. So really understanding what the resource issues are, what are the opportunities, kind of how would you address those opportunities. So that's taken in the planning phase. Then if there's work that can be done through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, then the landowner would fill out an application and apply for that financial assistance program. Each program that we administer has different eligibility criteria, and so that part's taken care of in the application during the application period. So to keep it fair for all landowners, there are requirements. This is so we don't get folks that I believe currently it's over $900,000 that you would make an off-farm income would make it so you wouldn't be eligible for the EQIP program. But it's a pretty high bar. So working with your local district conservationist, you would determine if you're eligible for the program. Once we get all those projects together, then we do an actual ranking of those projects. And then once funded, implementation of the project can begin. So specifically for the EQIP program, it's a cost reimbursement program. There's a set rate for each of the, what we call it, NRCS conservation practice. And so there's a variety of practices that we can implement, help landowners implement on forest land and woodlands here in Kentucky. So some common things that Kentucky woodland owners are doing out there currently through the EQIP program would be invasive species control and removal of invasive species from their woodlands, doing timber stand improvement, everything from mid-story removal type treatments to crop tree release to if there's a like high value kind of area with walnut or white oak, really improving those trees so they can be best quality trees for the long-term health of the forest. We also work with a lot of landowners that have woods, but also have cattle. And so looking at their woods as an area to grow trees. A lot of times if livestock are allowed to be in those woods, you're not seeing the seedlings growing. So livestock exclusion can be an important part of managing those woodlands out there. We also do a lot of tree planting and just establishing that natural regeneration, getting that next crop of healthy trees established in the woods. And then a lot of landowners are really interested in improving and managing their woods for wildlife habitat. So there's a variety of different projects that somebody can take on to help with that. If there's any interest in further information about NRCS and specifically about forestry, just wanted to say I'm available at any time to answer questions and take calls. Most easily can be reached through my email, which is john.shultz@usda.gov.